so much. I really appreciate all of you hopping on. I know it's the middle of what day are we on? Thursday? Middle of the week, and I know you're taking time out of your schedule. So very very good choice today though to be on the line here with Brad Bieber, Justin's cousin, and we're going to be talking about lead gen, and one of the struggles that we all really have as investors, right? And running our businesses, is leads, right? Making sure that we have plenty of inbound leads coming in, because that is really the fuel for the engine of our business. And it's interesting. I'll talk to new investors sometimes. They'll say, "Oh, I went out driving for dollars and I got 10 leads." I'm like, "Well, great, but you need 1,000 more. Like you need to have the more leads, the better, the more opportunities you have." To go out there and make a deal. And one of the, I'm not going to steal, Brad's thunder here. He's going to tell us all about Privy. It's, I say it's a new software, but you guys have been around for a long time. You're a very battle tested company, but really like just exploded over the last year. And super excited to have him on. And Brad, with that, I'm going to let you take it over. I'm not gonna wreck your intro any more than that.
Well, no, that was a perfect setup. Thank you, David, and thank you for having us. You mentioned leads and driving for leads and finding leads, and I think Privy is you're gonna find that Privy offers you maybe an alternative to some of the off-market strategies that we know many people have found a lot of success with, but there's always ways to differentiate your way to find the next lead, whether that's a lead for borrowers, whether that's a lead for the next real estate investment property, or somewhere in between. So I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna do a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, y'all. And I'm not gonna bore you here. I don't want it to be lecture hall or anything like that. So David, if you've got any comments as we go through some of the slides, please interrupt me, and I'll monitor some of the chat a little bit, but I'll rely on David to
Yeah.
um, chime in with any questions. And again, we do have Jessica who's going to be in there looking and potentially answering some questions as well.
Cool. Yeah. So, guys, as we're going along, if you got a question, throw it in the chat. We will make sure every question is answered before we are done today.
Yeah, perfect. David, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. We love the tagline, Privy gives you the easy button for real estate investing. And we're going to talk a lot about the easy button here. And I'm not somebody who likes to get a whole lot into presentation mode, so forgive me. I'm going to be looking at it like this, but you're going to hear the easy button quite a few times. And while easy sometimes is frowned upon, I personally in sales, I kind of like easy, especially if I get paid off of easy. So, but speaking of real estate, and if you ask any American, what the best way to build wealth is, I think universally the answer that typically comes out of their mouth is real estate. I think the hard part is, how do I actually get started in real estate? I know it's the path to success, but how do I actually get started in it? And some people get started in it through the family business. Some people get started in it by working for a company. Some people get started in it because they bought a property and said, "Hey, I can buy another property and I'm going to make this my living." And that's an interesting spectrum that a lot of people fall on. There's this people who just bought their one home that their family lives in, and there's the people who have bought two or three or four or 10 properties. Then there's the people who have bought 10 a year, and then there's the institutional investors out there, the BlackRocks and the Pritiums and the iBuyers of the world. And a lot of those at the end of the spectrum and the institutional side, they make a lot of noise in the market, and maybe a little bit more outsized noise than they really have an impact in the market. You only see about 15 to 20% of the investment opportunities gobbled up at the institutional investors. So far more of the investment is happening in the smaller mid-size shop. But whether or not you're on the spectrum, towards the smaller end or the larger end, quite frankly, 100% of the people out there are competition for your next best deal or for your customer's next best deal. And that's what we're going to do, is help you and your borrowers, your buyers, and help experienced and first-time real estate investors build wealth through real estate investing. Not just to build wealth for themselves, because I think also if you ask any American what's the best way to build wealth, while they will say real estate, they will also say a lot of them got into real estate to improve communities, to impact families' lives, and to create wealth and well-being for not just themselves, but for others around them. And I think, what you'll see with Privy is our CEO, Scott Fall, really, really believes, and as we all do at Privy, the power of real estate to improve not only your life as an individual, but improve the lives and communities that you live in and serve.
Yeah.
Real estate investing today is complicated, and of course, there's a lot of coaches and experts. As David being here and others that will help guide you. But the reality is, it's complicated, particularly without Privy. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of time-consuming activities that go into real estate investing. There's a lot of risk, and there's a lot of competition out there. And that complication is centered on, the bad deal aspect. There might be bad deals out there. What do I know is a bad deal? What is the misinformation that I'm getting, the disinformation that's coming my way that sets me up for a risky investment? What's the financial risk I'm taking on? What's the time that I'm taking on? What are the courses that I'm investing in? There's just a lot of complications out there and a lot of risk. We also know that there might be some low efficiency tactics that no longer have to be the norm. And I'm not saying exclusively transfer your strategies to technology. And again, I'm saying maybe differentiate and hedge and think about technology to help you maybe be a little bit better. You don't have to do things just because you've always done it that way. We hear about driving for dollars. We hear about networking groups and skip tracing and direct mail marketing, road signs, cold calling, sort of the grind that comes with all of these different aspects of an off-market strategy. And again, there are a lot of value that can come out of these off-market strategies, but there's also a lot of value that comes in the on-market strategy. In some of Privy's numbers that we've run, last year we looked at the off-market sales and the revenue coming from off market versus on market. And while there's a lot more volume, of course, in the off market space that's happening to the tune of maybe $50 billion in after repair value that Privy tracked last year in terms of fix and flip, with a spread of about $190,000. If you look at the on market, of course, the revenue is a little lower, or excuse me, the total sales is a little lower, and the revenue is a little lower as well, but not that much lower. And what we saw was about a 9 to 10K delta in terms of revenue, not profit, but revenue. And I say profit for a reason, because if you start to add in the gas and vehicle wear and tear, you start to add in the time, you start to add in the expense of cold calling and direct mailing, and all of these other strategies that people employ in the off-market space, you actually start to find that you might be more profitable when you look at the on-market space as well and start to look at the on-market strategies. And again, Privy gives you that easy button for real estate investing by instantly showing you every listing that will be successful based on every other successful investment. And that's how we arm you with the easy button. And I'm sure there are people out there that are saying to themselves right now, there are only good deals in the off-market space, and I can only find deals in the off-market space. Well, I was sitting across the table from a CEO of a private lender and a very experienced investor, and he said the same thing to us. I personally invest in hundreds of deals per year, and I only do off-market deals, and there are no good deals on market. But you know what? We convinced him to give it a shot, and 3 days later, he found an on-market deal that he's closing on. It's that quick and it's that easy to work with Privy. So why should you be in Privy? Obviously, I'm going to show you some of the reasons in the application itself, but for the same reason, thousands of your peers are in Privy right now, finding new deals that match investment strategies, comparing potential deals to already successful deals, which is actually patent pending technology. It's in the patent office right now. Setting up listing alerts to act quickly on a new property hit the market, looking for ways to transfer their strategies to new markets, maybe geographically or maybe different exit strategies as well. Net taking advantage of massive time savings and increased confidence in their decisions. And for those that are in the wholesaling space, we're also going to show you all of the people who are active borrowers, the LLCs, the active borrowers and investors in markets that you're interested in as well. And I'll stop with one quote or two quotes in a slide, then I'm going to get into the product and also see if there's any questions that you want me to answer, David. But I love these two quotes. One speaks to the scale that Privy operates at. Christian Chase is a broker owner out of Massachusetts. I found 350 deals that his team closed on in Privy last year. That's the power of Privy right there. But I really love this one. Aaron May is a private real estate investor. Privy changed the way I invested, a complete 180. I matured into a stable collection of 27 rental assets through Privy. And we'll show you how you can actually not just find the fix and flips, the buy and holds, but also the long-term rental investment opportunities that are out there. David, any questions coming in the chat that you want me to address, or anything that you want to react to there?
No, but I'll tell you, no real questions just yet. But and I've been an investor since 2002, so for forever and a day and a couple of days. But I was always told that there are no good deals on MLS, and the fact is, it's just not true. There are plenty of people out there who for the same reason they sell to an investor, right? They have some type of motivation, or they don't want to deal with the property, or they don't want to clean it out, or whatever it is. They may have just never been approached by some investor or wholesaler, right? And the only thing they know to do is to put it on market, right? So just because we're in this industry and we think that there's a wholesaler on every corner, and it may seem like it to you, there are certainly people out there a lot of people who don't know that there's an option to just go get a quick cash sale. So the only thing they can do is put it on MLS. Well, now once you get onto MLS, right, look at who your buyers are. Typically, it's a lot of, mom and pop. I want to buy it. I want to live in it. Those people don't want to do a lot of repairs. So this is a great opportunity of literally just shooting fish in a barrel, of finding properties that are exactly what we're looking for, that are distressed, that are undervalued because nobody else will buy them. And I know he's going to show us a little bit more about the software, but it's freaking phenomenal what the data that they use and how they collect it and how they can show you what how they evaluate property. So I'm excited for you to keep going.
Let's get into it. And I think what you mentioned, there people saying there's no good deals or deals on the MLS. Well, quite frankly, we have the data just to say that that's simply not true. And I'm going to show you exactly why that's not true. This is our coverage map. This is actually your competitive edge. This is the differentiator for you as a wholesaler or a real estate investor or a real estate agent, anybody who's involved in real estate investing. This is your competitive edge and your secret sauce. Everywhere in blue is going to be our first party MLS data, where we have direct MLS access. Which is not very easy to get. And it's taken us years and years to build these relationships with MLSs. And we do provide a lot of value back to the MLS and their agent members in order to earn the right and the privilege to have that first party data. We're going to have your major markets covered up and down the eastern seaboard, Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Baltimore and Philly. New York City doesn't have an MLS, so we'll skip them. Boston area, the Tennessee, Midwest, Chicago, every major market in Dallas, and Phoenix, Arizona, Albuquerque, Southern California, Denver, Salt Lake. So lots of first party MLS data that gives you data at scale and speed to lead. And is, again, your competitive differentiation. Everywhere that you're seeing in yellow and red, we're essentially relying on third-party listing data from a very solid vendor of ours that gives us listing status and listing price as well. So we still give you some great data. We just have a little bit more oomph behind where we have the first-party MLS data in blue here. If I earn your business, if we earn your business here at Privy, and you get signed up at privy.pro, and we do have a coupon code, David, for all your people. It's easy REI. So make sure, Jessica, if you want to put that in the chat, go ahead and put that in the chat and let everybody know what the coupon code is and the discount, actually. And you can get signed up at privy.pro if you like what you're seeing. So lots of ways to get you a discount there. But one thing you're going to want to do when you first get started is upload your past deals. And if you upload your past deals, they're going to show up in our list here, where you can actually upload the deals that you've done. So it's like your street address, the city, state, zip code, right? And you're now able to immediately comp on deals that you have already successfully done, whether you were the wholesaler part of it or you were the actual real estate investor. I'm now going to be able to immediately find deals that fit what I've already done. And in fact, I've got one already primed up here. I'm going to click on this. Let's say this was a deal that I did recently. This is out of Baltimore, Maryland here. You can see what this property looks like when it was sold, all of that good stuff. So let's pretend this is my property. I've loaded it to my list, and I want to now go see what might be good comps in the market and available properties for me to buy. And here are some that suggest there are fix and flips that are happening. These are comps that have already sold, but then I can go into the active space here and I can actually see some properties that are for sale. Now, many of these have already been fixed up and flipped, and you can see what they were bought for. You can see what they were sold for. And we can certainly go and see what those properties look like before they were fixed up and what they look like afterwards as well. Or I can just go immediately and find there's a $130,000 property right here. Let me go look at that. That looks a lot like the property I've already done. Here is what it looks like on the inside. I know myself as a real estate investor, or I know someone who is a good real estate investor could buy this property and make a lot of money off of it. And again, I can check out the comparables to again validate that if I buy this property for $130,000, there is money to be made because there are homes selling within a quarter mile, a half mile for 340, 300, $330,000. All of these have good justifications and validations behind what that suggest again that target property is a good property for me to go buy. And again, I can look at the before and after photos. I can see what that property looked like before it was fixed up and what it looked like after it was fixed up and sold. And again, when I talk about real estate investing, improving people's lives, it's not, again, just their own, it's the communities that are improved as well. Now a family can take pride in living in this home and owning this home and being a part of a community in this home. But somebody can also take pride in the money that they made in this property in what was essentially 216 days. They made about $150,000. So this is a win-win-win all around for the families involved, for the real estate investors involved that are actually getting these properties fixed up and put back in the community. David, any reactions there? Anything you want me to
Yeah,
expand?
I mean it's absolutely stunning. And to answer Sarah's question, she said we had an investor recently say that that we shouldn't get on market properties because other investors will look at the property and wonder what's wrong with it. Um, didn't want to be labeled as on market wholesalers. What's my take on that? First off, like, there is a point where that person might be true, right? Or correct. Let's say a property has an ARV of 120 and you contracted at 115 and you're trying to sell it at 125, right? Well, that doesn't make any sense. So you've truly got to be looking for, you know, properties that make sense for an investor, right? Like the rules don't change. There's no change in, our job as wholesalers, like Brad said, one, we're here to make things better. We're here to help people solve problems, but also on the flip side for our end buyer, we're here to provide value, right? So we've gone out, we've invested in the software, we've done all of the things in the education to know what's a good property and to go out and put that under contract. So, if you've got a legitimate deal, that's the value that we bring as investors, right? So I hope that answers your question. And there's nothing to say that just because something's listed at 115 that you offer them 115 either.
Exactly.
Maybe your numbers work out and 92 is the right offer. Well, that's okay. If that's the number for you that works, for what you want to do with it, then make that offer, and then it's up to them whether or not they're going to accept. But, as long as you're bringing value and you can show, and this, we're going to get into a little bit of a dispo conversation, but, your job again as the wholesaler is to provide value for that end buyer, but show them how they make money, right? Too many wholesalers get lazy and arrogant and, oh, just you buy my deal because it's a deal. No, like the people are busy and they're kind of nitwits sometimes. So, when I would send out a property, I would be like, hey, you can rent it and make this much. You can flip it and make this much. You can Airbnb it and make this much. You can, whatever it is, you can break it up and rent it by the room and make even more. So yeah, you have to show these people, real comps. Privy will get that for you. I love that they show you the before and after pictures. It's one of the most things that put me on my heels when I first saw the first demo. And show your end buyer the value, and then all the rest of that just goes away. There are always going to be people who don't want to pay you as a wholesaler. That's a them issue, not a you issue. You just make sure you're out providing value.
Yep. Love it. Well said. And I would say there are thousands and thousands of real estate investors, whether they're wholesalers or investors or agents, that would say finding deals on the MLS with Privy has been a game changer for them, and let the pejorative comments go to the wayside because they're making money.
Yeah, there's always going to be somebody saying something.
Yep. And here's, a potential fix and flip right here. And I love what you said, David, because it's, what Privy is going to be able to do is show you, the wholesaler and the investor, what other people are doing and show you the potential of the home based on what other people are doing. So this is a property in Jacksonville, Florida for $143,000. We can see that it could use some loving. It could use a little bit of work. But if we go and look at the comps in the nearby area, we can see, oh, excuse me. Let me go to the other property. Let's get this one. We can see in the nearby area, here we go. Here's a property. This was sold for 140,000. This market might be a little saturated. We might need to get this property for a little less, but we can actually start to understand the neighborhood. And maybe there are properties that suggest this target property is a good real estate investment for a potential buyer. And I can show that buyer rental income. So we've got nationwide rental income. So if they don't want to buy this home and just flip it, they can actually fix it up and put a renter in it, and they create a stable income property. Or they can do that fix and flip, and they can see what other properties are being sold for. Recent, just nearby this property, there's one for 290. There's one that was fixed up for 155. There was one for 195. And again, we can go and look at these properties to see what's happening in there. Why are those properties selling for so much better relative to what this target property is looking to be sold for? And as David mentioned, just because it's listed for 139 simply doesn't mean that you have to buy it at 139. So if I can get this for maybe 120, 115, and there are properties being sold for 195, 290, then I know that there's a potential here for a deal for me to be made, for money to be made for me, as well as for the buyer that I'm going to bring this information to. And you can actually email this to your customers too. So you found a good property to invest in. I'm now going to share this with a prospective buyer. Type in that email address, copy whomever you may want, and then put in a message that speaks to why you think this is a good property. Of course, you can override what the default is there. Hey, good rental income, good fix and flip, good investment opportunity, right? And forgive my typos there. Right? And then we send it, and now we've delivered what David just mentioned, sort of the value, right? We've delivered a property that might fit their strategy. We've delivered a reason why it's a good investment, and we've given them information to make an informed decision that they can say back to you, yes, get it under contract, and I'll buy this property off of you.
Yep.
So that's one of many use cases. Is you upload your past deals and you start comping for nearby properties in markets and strategies you've already been successful in. The other strategy is going to be, let's go find active borrowers, active investors, active LLCs in markets that you're interested in. We can go to Jacksonville, Florida, just because I know it's a good market here. Now, what I can do from here are a couple things. One, I can look at all of the sold properties, which is something, let's do that. Let's look at all the sold fix and flips. I want to look at an after repair value of 75% less. I'm not interested in seeing properties that were bought for 900,000 or more, but I want to see who's operating in the Jacksonville area based on these criteria. But I also may not want to operate in all of Jacksonville. Maybe I only operate in southern Jacksonville. So I can actually isolate, the market here. And now I have a list of 30 properties that have been fixed and flipped in the last 6 months. If I want, I can make that 18 months so I can bring in a little bit more data. Now I have 100 properties in the Jacksonville area that have been fixed up and flipped. This is investment activity. These are people who are investing in buying properties. These are your potential buyers, right? You can download this now. You get a list of all of the LLCs and the buyers' names. That's your call list. We don't do skip tracing, so you won't have contact information in that download, but it's pretty easy to either throw that Excel file into a skip trace vendor, or just search for them in Google. So we don't have the contact information, but we do have the data to show you where in specific markets and specific exit strategies there are potential buyers that you need to be talking to, that you need to start building relationships with, that might buy the next deal that you put under contract. Cool. Let's go back to my Privy coverage map here, and we'll check out. Let's go to Orlando, Florida. So let's say I operate in Orlando, and maybe I want to actually expand out of the Orlando area, but I want to look at fix and flips that are active, and I want to do the 75% ARV. I'm not swinging a hammer on a $2 million house, and I'm not swinging a hammer on a 5,000 square foot house. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit. And now here are active investment properties that are potentially good properties for me to buy or for me to put under contract and bring to my borrowers as well. So I'm actually starting to get market information and awareness. Not only can I look at where's good properties available right now, again, I can flip this to be sold, and I can start to understand where is actually all of the activity happening. Where do I need to avoid? Where do I need to look at more? What is hot? What is cold? What markets are happening? It's a really great way if you don't operate in Orlando or you don't live in Orlando, but you want to get into that market, as opposed to flying there, spending weeks on the ground, trying to understand that market. You now have a way to actually understand the activity in that market without really even needing a real estate agent or boots on the ground in Orlando. So we've talked about sold. I'm going to pull in active again. We're going to go look at fix and flip. But of course, we're going to look at long-term rentals as well. But let's just go ahead and look at some fix and flips. And I'm going to run that search. Again, I don't necessarily have to operate in this entire city. I can just isolate particular markets that I'm more interested in using my draw tool here. Or what I can do from here as well is save this search. So this is a very important function. We've already shown you that if you found a particular home, you can email that directly to a prospective buyer, or to anyone, your business partner or someone else. What you can also do now is set up search alerts for listings that go live on an hourly, daily, weekly basis. And you can set search alerts for the entire city. You can set search alerts for micro areas of those cities using that draw function that I just showed you. And you can set search alerts for various filters as well: fix and flip, potential, ARV level, purchase price, square foot. All of these things you can set up multiple search alerts, have yourself be the recipient, or have your prospective buyers be the recipient as well. Again, speed to lead, but also, we know many of you have a day job, or many of you are out there actively looking for new deals. And the beauty of Privy is it can always be working in the background for you. You don't have to be in the app to get the full value out of Privy. You can let the app do work for you in the background again. And then when it finds a deal that fits the buy box and the strategies that you're looking for, you're immediately notified and you can take immediate action as well. David,
Nice.
anything? Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just love the ability to get alerts and send them to my team, and really just dial in exactly what you're looking for. And I don't know of any other data provider who does anything even remotely close to that. Amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, I was actually born in Jacksonville, but I don't know the market, but I just happened to find a potential fix and flip deal. Here's one. Looks like it needs a little bit of loving, $360,000. And if I go into the comparables here, there are homes selling for, more than that, $480,000. It's a property that just sold. It was fixed up, it was flipped. And then again, we can go look at that property. We can see some of the before and after photos, what it looked like before, what it looks like after, and how much money they've made. Now, not every, I got lucky on this one. Not every home is going to have before photos. We will have sort of the Google Street View, so you can at least see the exterior. But if a home wasn't listed on the MLS, we won't have that before photo. So not everyone's going to have them, but typically we will. But in 158 days, they made $163,000 in revenue. Not profit, but I promise you this isn't a $163,000 renovation job. There was definitely some profit to be made. And again, we're going to bring in that property history. We're going to bring in the tax assessment, so we know who's doing this fix and flip. And you can actually look this property up. Let's say you wanted to talk to JBet Financial Solutions here. You look them up and you say, hey, JBet great job on 12044 Sula Street. You know what? I've got some other properties nearby that might be perfect for you based on the job that you did. I have got a couple of other deals that might be good for you. Are you interested?" And they're going to say, "Absolutely, send them my way. I'd love to look at it." And all you have to do is again, share that property, send it to them, and they're going to start looking at those properties to see if it's a good investment opportunity for them, of which this one very well may be.
Yeah. And Sarah, to go back to your question about, finding deals on, MLS, like if he scrolls down to the bottom, the reason there are pictures there of that house before the remodel is because it was listed online,
Yep.
right? Literally, they bought it, fixed it up, resold it, old pictures, new pictures. It works over and over and over again.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I'll get to that one more. So this was the Sula one. This is the before and after photo. So again, we're capturing the before and after photos from the MLS there.
Yep. Love it.
Awesome. All right, one more use case. So we've covered a lot of ground. We've covered uploading your past deals. We've covered looking for uploading your past deals and then comping to find the next best opportunity. We've covered looking for prospective buyers, people who are active in markets, how to isolate markets, how to get into deeper into a market that's not just all of Houston, but more of a neighborhood, if you will. We've looked at how to find active properties. We've all for fix and flips. And the last one I'll show you is not every one of your buyers or yourselves as investors are going to want to do the fix and flip. Maybe they just want to buy and hold, or they want to do a long-term rental. And again, they want to build that revenue generating, income generating portfolio. They can isolate homes that might be good for cap rate, annualized return, cash on cash, gross yield, and they can play around with the numbers there. I'm just going to go into we'll go into Atlanta, Georgia, and we're going to look for long-term rentals. We're going to run that. We're not going to do $2 million. That's crazy. Let's get down there. So now we're in Atlanta. I know a little bit about Atlanta, so I'm going to go to the north of Atlanta to try to find rental properties that fit that cap rate that I'm looking for. And here's a property that is for sale. It might be a good property for me to buy as a long-term rental. And now I'm in my long-term rental experience, and I'm actually going to go to the comparables, check to see if we have rental data, and we do. So there's actually good rental data in this neighborhood. We're pulling in actual rentals. These aren't estimates. These are actual rentals, rent that is being paid or rent that is being asked for within a half-mile radius. And of course, you can always set your settings to be a little bit more if you want to bring in more from a radius perspective or other filters there. Go ahead and cancel that. But so this is a good property for me. I get an understanding that there's some rental income, but you know what? I want to make sure the numbers work for me. I don't think I can get $6,000. Maybe I can get $4,000. But maybe also I'm going to offload the utilities. I'm going to do my own repairs or make my father-in-law do all the repairs, and I own my own property management company. And now this is becoming a decent cap rate. And that might be something that I want to buy this property, or maybe it's actually too much and I need to find something that's a little less expensive. And maybe I go to this one, right? There's a good property that might be more in my budget. I can see the photos. I can see what's going on with the property. Again, I can look at the rental property potential. So look at what the rental's coming in for, and then play around with the calculator just to see if this is going to be a good property for me. Again, I'm going to offload utilities. I got my father-in-law doing the repairs, and I got my own property management company, and I've got a pretty good cap rate here, and potentially even, and I can work on the cash on cash with some of the other inputs here. So a seasoned and knowledgeable investor is going to be able to use this tool to understand if a property isn't just a fix and flip, but it also might just be a long-term rental for them. And again, you can share this with them. You're giving them that power, that information, that knowledge that gives them the confidence behind the decisions that they need to make.
Wow. Very cool.
Awesome. All right. Any questions, David, in the chat? Any comments? Anything else you want me to explore with Privy? Again, we've covered a lot. Keep in mind our first party coverage data is great. It's your competitive advantage, but it's not the only thing. So if you do operate in markets that we don't have first party MLS data, you're still going to get a lot of value out of Privy. And I'm happy to show you how to get that value if you want to reach out to me directly. But we've covered, how to upload your past deals. We've covered how to find active LLCs and borrowers and buyers in markets you operate in. We've covered how to set search alerts for yourself and for your buyers. And we've covered how to find new deals in particular markets and investment strategies. So we've covered a lot today. David, anything to add?
Yeah. Yeah. Tom's got a great question. What is the difference between agent and investor mode?
Yeah, so if you're a real estate agent and you're a licensed MLS real estate agent, you can sign up for Privy on our agent account. And what that'll give you is two things. One, it gives you exposure to real estate investors that are using Privy in your market, and they can actually choose you to be their real estate agent. And you sort of get a lead and you get a notification that someone has chosen you as their real estate agent representative in Privy. So it's a good way to give back to our real estate agents. They're getting a lead out of it. And they can also upload their past clients and start to manage their clients within Privy, sending them emails, watching how they're engaging with Privy, setting them up on search alerts, that sort of stuff. So there's a little bit of added benefit to the real estate agent, particularly around leads and managing their clients. But you do have to be a licensed MLS licensed agent to be on that part of Privy.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you and that's just amazing that you guys have all of that, first party direct MLS access. I know anybody that's been investing for a couple of years, some of the other providers lost all of that, and like the world felt like it was coming to an absolute stop. So for you guys to have that, I love that you can set up, those search parameters and lock them in so that they're always going to be there and just change them as needed. Again, the before and after pictures, like literally, this is probably the greatest tool for your acquisitions and dispositions people, right? Acquisitions can look up a property and see, here are 5 apples and apples properties. Here's what they sold for. So we know that we need to get it at X price. And then your dispositions people can literally just do the thing you did in South Jacksonville there and look at all the flips and just literally just reverse engineer, call all of those people that are around where your property is, and they probably want another deal. If they made $100,000, what's the odds that they want another deal? Pretty good, pretty good. And you can see what they bought their property for. So if they bought their property at 220, all you got to do is contract yours at 190, and you can sell it to them for 215, right? And make $25,000. Like, that's how simple this is. And, the technology makes it simple. It makes it, obviously we're the easy people, but yeah, it is the easy button. It's the cheat code. It's a teacher's edition textbook that, will give you all the answers. You just gotta get up and do the thing, man. And it works, and you'll make a ton of money.
And it'll work in the background for you, right? I mean, you can be in the app, and I think about 35% of our customers are in the app logging about 5 times every day. About 55% are logging in every 15 days. But again, those who are not logging in every 15 days, they're setting up search alerts and they're getting that notification immediately so that they, if they are working and they're on the job or they're at a site, a project or something, they can act quickly if they need to. One of the questions, David, I think I'll lead to you. Calvin's question, I don't think is relevant for me to answer, so I'll let you answer.
Yeah. So Calvin's question is, one of the challenges that I'm running into is that any property that I find on market, the agent will tell me right off the bat their client won't accept a lowball offer. Is it possible to buy the property at or around list price and still be able to make a decent wholesale fee, for example? Well, I mean, this kind of goes back to what we were talking to Sarah about a little earlier. And people make mistakes and list things far too cheap, right? So if it is a deal, can you show your end buyer how this is a deal, right? Because these deals don't end the day they go to closing, right? That's not the end. Your buyer has now purchased this property, and then it has a life of its own, right? There's a second life where they've got to fix it up, put it on the market, and they need to make money on it too. So, as wholesalers, it's not our job to squeeze every drop of juice out of the lemon. So that's the first thing, right? Can you buy it around the listing price and re-wholesale it? Maybe. depends, right? It depends if there's enough upside to it. But you know, I think where I would kind of just stop there, where, you know, I saw a lowball offer, and I get it, right? Like, you know, not every agent loves working with investors because, you know, like we're all pretty sharp here, but there are some nitwits out there that do and say really dopey things. And, you know, we're not making just lowball offers, we're making cash offers, right? So, hey, Mr. Agent, you know, I'm definitely interested in this property. Would your client be open to a cash offer? Well, cool. They understand that a cash offer might be a little bit less. And if they are, great. But, you know, Calvin, it doesn't matter if you're doing on market stuff, if you're doing PPC, if you're doing SMS texting or cold calling or whatever, right? Like, we're not going to be the fit for everybody, right? We're just not. So, you know, everything's a little bit of the scales adjusters, right? You're not going to have to put out 40 grand a month in advertising. You have all literally for one low subscription price, which I can't believe how cheap they're going to offer you this. You have all of the information at your fingertips here. You just have to do the work, do the evaluation, and make the calls. But yeah, is every agent going to want to work with you? No, of course not, because we're not the best answer, right? Like if I was selling a property, like I know I need to maximize it. I'm not in a hurry. I just want the most amount I can get, right? So a wholesaler's not gonna do it for me. I have had rental properties that had a fire and I just didn't want to jerk around with it, and I sold it to an investor super cheap, right? So every property is just going to be a little bit different. Don't let that discourage you. You know, I wouldn't necessarily present myself as an investor. You're out there to purchase a property, right? That's your goal. You know, I wouldn't be volunteering that I'm going to wholesale this and I'm going to flip it and I'm going to, you know, just, hey, I'd love to make a cash offer on this property. When can I see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a question that I think came directly to me or in the Q&A. What is the promo code? So a good time to remind everybody that the promo code is easy REI, spelled exactly that. EZ, letter E, letter Z, letter REI. And that'll get you your 30% off your first month, or 30% off the annual plan. So the annual plan's $1,000. But remember, you get one deal out of Privy. It's going to pay for years and years of Privy to come. The annual plan is certainly a great way to invest in yourself if you're an established wholesaler, an established real estate investor, and you know you're going to be in this for the long game. If you're just getting into it, the monthly plan is a great option for you. You'd be able to cancel at any time, check it out for a few months. It's working for you. That's great. But we'll get you that 30% discount. Typically, it's $149 a month. So we'll get you 30% off that first month. Again, for you more established investors, you're going to want to go with that annual plan for $1,000 and save some money and really let Privy go to work for you.
Yeah, guys, there's no way that you can be a professional investor without some, you know, software like this that you can use to run comps and pull data. It's not a thing, right? If you're not serious, don't buy it, right? But if you do want to, you know, be serious about real estate, and even if that only means doing 3 to 5 deals a year, like you've got to have this ability. You know, I see so often people are like, well, I'll just call a realtor and get MLS access. First off, no realtor wants to risk their license by giving you access to their system, right? That's dumb. Don't, it's not going to happen. And if it happens, it's going to be for a week, right? Like that's not the answer. You have to be able to, you know, stop, open your laptop, pull up a property, get the numbers, make the offer, right? I can't, oh, I'm going to email my agent and have them give me comps. And 3 days later, they call you back. I've already bought that property, right?
Mhm.
Like a speedy investor, you know, will just zipped in ahead of you and done that. So, you know, $150 a month, guys, really is not a lot. I promise you. You know, if this software went to $500, like I'd have to pay it because this is how we run our business, right? There are things that you do have to make the investment in. Just made a post. I guess somebody had maybe messaged her direct. Um, you know, talking about having buyers. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have a relationship with your buyers. When I worked in just the Chattanooga market, like I knew every single buyer, and every single buyer knew who I was because I was the guy who brought them their deals. So, you know, if you're working in a you know, in a particular market, like you should know who the buyers are. You should be at the RIA meetings. You should be following who's buying what online and building a relationship with them and understanding what it is that they're looking for. You know, because having that sort of in your back pocket, again, it's the answer to the test. You can just go out and find what they're looking for, you know. So So yeah, anyways, that's what I had.
But you reminded me of one thing. You can also look for individual properties. So if you have a potential property that you want to comp against that you didn't find in Privy, you were just maybe driving around or you were doing whatever at a networking open house or something, you can search specifically for that property in Privy and do all the things that we've talked about, comping, analyzing, everything like that. So you don't have to just go market by market, city by city. You can certainly look for one property at a time as well.
Right. Right. No, guys, it's amazing software. Again, I've been doing this since 2002. Software as, data as a whole has come light years from where it was when I started. But there's nobody that does it the way that Privy does it. I mean, it's stunning to see it all in action.
Cool. Well, David, I mean, there's not much left for me. Just a reminder, privy.pro is where you get signed up. You've got your coupon code EasyREI. Get that 30% off your first month or 30% off the annual plan, which already gives you 2 months free, and then another 30% off. So again, a great opportunity for those established investors. And David, I just want to say thank you for having us and being a good business partner with us and getting the word out for Privy.
Yeah, man, it's not hard when it's something you believe in and you can see the value. And, in our business, we're the nation's largest transaction coordination company. So we close more deals than anybody. And, we see over and over again that these deals that are some of our biggest clients are closing or they're coming through Privy. And that's because it's a good, predictable lead source. So again, I'm going to beat you guys up a little bit. If you're serious about being in this business, then this is what you need. There are some other people out there on the market, guys. I have subscriptions to all of them. And I'm just telling you, the people who provide that you don't get this level of detail and data from the other people. They all specialize in a little bit different thing, but nobody, can show me before and after pictures of a property. Nobody allows me to set my defaults, the circles, where you can really zero in. It's just, guys, it's growing like crazy for a reason. Same reason we're growing, because it's good. The data is great and it's a great value.
Yeah, and David, I want to address Hazel's question in the
Yeah.
chat. We do not, I think you mentioned it already, but just to reiterate for her, we do not offer a free trial. And not because we're trying to be stingy here. We just truly believe in the product. And there is that monthly option, right? So for, $100 essentially for your first month, you can get in there, find a good deal, pay for Privy for the next few years, and then everything's upside from there. But we do not offer a free trial. But I think once you get in there, you're going to really see why, thousands of your peers are using Privy right now.
Yeah, Hazel, we encourage action takers, and we want you to use the software and go get a deal. So that's, maybe you can do that in 7 days, maybe you can't, but I promise you, Privy's it's gonna help you, and it's a great source of deals because PPC is getting expensive. We're going into an election year, so those costs are going up. You can't really text anymore. Cold calling's about dead. Direct mail is incredibly expensive. It gives you, a tenth of the response rate that you used to get. So, on market deals are a great place to really flourish and build your company.
Yeah. Well, David, thanks again for having us.
Yeah,
I
man.
really appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to us at Privy at brad.bieber@privy.pro, or just reach out to us via our website, privy.pro.
Nice. You guys have a great week. I appreciate you jumping on here in the middle of the day. Go out there, let's get some contracts and do some deals.